In a tranquil grove, the Buddha sat beneath a blooming tree, his gaze serene and his heart open. He called forth his disciples, their robes brushing the soft earth as they gathered around. Ananda spoke first, his voice trembling, full of earnest, "Master, why does the heart ache with suffering so deeply?" The Buddha closed his eyes, drawing on wisdom beyond lifetimes. Suffering arises from craving, an insatiable yearning for impermanence. Bound by human delusion, he paused, allowing his words to resonate, filling the silence with understanding. "Let me tell you a story," he began softly. "A farmer named Sutta once labored tirelessly. His crops his pride and lifeblood." "Master," Ananda said finally, his voice tremulous, "I seek perfection in my actions. Yet I find no peace in my striving." The other disciples listened intently. The grove hushed in anticipation of the Buddha's response. His disciples leaned forward, their breaths quiet, anticipation heavy in the air. In despair, Sutta cursed the heavens, grieving what was gone, longing for the past to return. "Let us explore this together." He reached for a clay bowl resting beside him, its surface aged and cracked, yet still intact. Holding it up, he asked, "What do you see before you?" "A bowl, Master," replied a disciple, their voice steady and sure. "It is cracked and weathered, yet it holds its form." The Buddha nodded. "And does this bowl, with its imperfections, fulfill its purpose?" The disciples murmured in unison, "Yes. It carries water despite its flaws." The Buddha turned to Ananda, his gaze unwavering. "Consider this bowl, Ananda," he said. Sutta realized he had been chained by his desires, not the storm. The disciples murmured quietly, digesting the profound simplicity of his words. The Buddha continued, his voice steady and soothing, "Acceptance is liberation, a release from craving that binds us to sorrow." Ananda spoke again, his curiosity unrelenting. "Master, how does one achieve this acceptance in practice?" The Buddha turned his gaze to the horizon, reflecting deeply. "But to grasp at perfection is to bind oneself in chains." He gestured to the wildflowers growing nearby, their colors vibrant yet uneven, their petals unique yet harmonized. The Buddha rose, walking slowly towards the river, his steps deliberate. "Look at the water, flowing endlessly, never clinging to any single moment." His disciples followed, their eyes fixed on the steady current, seeking meaning. Like the river, let emotions flow without grasping, allowing existence to unfold naturally. "Understand this, Ananda," the Buddha continued, his tone gentle yet firm. "Imperfection is not a hindrance but a teacher. Yet impermanence is universal, a truth neither cruel nor kind. Simply is." His disciples nodded, their hearts aligning with his timeless wisdom. The Buddha spoke of impermanence as a tool for freedom, a compass for peace. We must embrace what changes, letting go with grace, accepting with humility. Ananda turned to the Buddha, his voice tinged with doubt. "But Master, how do we avoid attachment when love itself requires connection?" The Buddha paused, his gaze patient and contemplative. "What do you see in this leaf?" the Buddha asked, his question directed to all. A disciple stepped forward, their voice thoughtful and measured. "A leaf that has aged and fallen, yet it rests with grace upon the water." The Buddha nodded, the wisdom of the disciple's observation resonating with his own. "This leaf," the Buddha said, "once clung to its branch, vibrant and green. Now it rests, content in its impermanence." Mindfulness is not avoidance but engagement with full acceptance. Ananda smiled faintly, the lesson slowly integrating within his own turbulent heart. The Buddha continued walking, his presence commanding yet gentle. "Suffering is universal, yet its roots lie in our individual hearts," the Buddha observed. "Each person must confront their unique attachment, learning to release." The disciples followed the Buddha into the forest, their silence reflective, to embrace what is, rather than what should be. The disciples stood in silence, the rustle of leaves and the song of birds enveloping them like a sacred hymn. Why do humans deny impermanence, clinging to the illusion of control? The Buddha asked. Because impermanence challenges ego, demanding surrender to what lies beyond our grasp. His disciples remained quiet, their contemplation deepening with each word spoken. The Buddha stopped, looking at the horizon painted in twilight's golden hues. Even the sky changes, each moment unique, never replicating the past. Ananda felt overwhelmed, his mind racing to grasp the enormity of truth. Master, do we find peace through endless surrender, abandoning all desires? The Buddha smiled faintly, a gesture of infinite patience and understanding. Peace comes not through abandonment but through wise engagement, mindful balance. His disciples listened intently, their hearts opening to the depth of his teachings. Live fully, love deeply, but release all yearning for permanence or possession. The disciples bowed their heads, the weight of the Buddha's teachings settling within them as seeds awaiting growth. Ananda's brow, once furrowed, now bore a gentle curve, a nascent smile born of understanding and release. His disciples bowed, feeling the transformative power of his words. Let this lesson guide your hearts to balance and liberation. The Buddha began walking again, his steps light yet purposeful. With each breath, accept what is, release what was, and embrace what will be. His disciples followed closely, their minds and spirits seeking the same balance. The journey begins with surrender and continues with mindfulness, grounded in impermanence. Behold these pots, the Buddha began, his voice resonating like a calm stream. One holds clarity, the other, confusion. Compassion arises from freedom, a giving that expects nothing, offering everything selflessly. The Buddha continued teaching, his words rippling through their hearts. Look closely, my disciples, he said, his voice like the rustle of leaves. What do you see before you? A disciple stepped forward, their eyes fixed on the intricate web. Master, I see a delicate structure. Imperfect yet functional, they replied with thoughtful precision. The Buddha nodded, his approval evident in the gentle tilt of his head. The night deepened, the forest alive with nocturnal whispers of wind and life. The Buddha gazed at the moon, its pale glow illuminating his serene face. Even the moon wanes, yet it never fears the darkness, nor resists its cycle. The disciples found solace, their hearts growing stronger, more centered. The Buddha rested beneath the Bodhi tree once more, his energy unwavering. Let wisdom guide you, for emotions, though transient, shape the essence of our experiences. Ananda knelt before the Buddha, his resolve firm, his gratitude immense. Master, your teachings have lit my path. I will walk it. The Buddha smiled softly, a gesture of infinite compassion and understanding. Your path is yours alone, yet wisdom accompanies those who seek. The disciples bowed, their reverence heartfelt, their spirits rejuvenated. No, Master, he replied after a pause, his voice steady yet contemplative. The pursuit of perfection would delay its survival, its very reason for weaving. The journey continued, their steps guided by timeless truths shared. Each lesson transcended time, a bridge between suffering and liberation's peace. To cling to perfection is to lose purpose. He motioned for the disciples to sit, their robes billowing gently as they settled on the earth. The Buddha sat cross-legged, his posture a reflection of balance and stillness. Sariputta approached, his expression thoughtful and seeking. Master, he said, life often overwhelms us with emotions. How do we remain steady? The Buddha gestured to the lute of a passing bard, its strings producing harmonious notes. Sariputta, observe this lute, he began. his voice calm and instructive. If its strings are too tight, they snap. If too loose, no sound emerges. The disciples listened closely, captivated by the analogy unfolding before them. In life, we often tighten ourselves with desires or slacken with indifference, the Buddha continued. The path lies in moderation, finding balance in all emotions. He paused, allowing his words to resonate deeply within their minds and hearts. The river's gentle flow seemed to mirror the rhythmic cadence of his teachings. Let me share a story of Siddhartha, a prince who sought wisdom by abandoning his palace, the Buddha said softly. Siddhartha starved himself, believing deprivation would bring enlightenment. Yet his body and mind weakened with such extremes. And in its acceptance, it thrives. Ananda's breath deepened, the lesson weaving itself into his soul with quiet persistence. Master, he said finally, his voice tinged with vulnerability, how does one let go of the need for perfection when it feels so ingrained? The Buddha's gaze softened, his voice now like the gentle flow of a stream. To let go, Ananda, is to see the beauty in imperfection, to embrace the purpose that flaws reveal. Siddhartha embraced the middle path, abandoning extremes to find wisdom rooted in balance, the Buddha concluded. His enlightenment became a beacon for all seekers who struggle with life's upheavals. The disciples bowed their heads, absorbing the significance of balance as an essential principle. Sariputta spoke again, his tone filled with respect. Master, how do we find balance amidst turbulent emotions, like anger or despair? Sariputta asked earnestly. The Buddha pointed to the river flowing steadily before them, its surface reflecting the sunlight. Emotions are like this river, the Buddha replied, his voice serene. They flow naturally, neither resisting nor overtaking their course. Do not suppress emotions, for doing so tightens the strings, causing imbalance, the Buddha said. Equally, do not indulge emotions, for doing so slackens the strings, rendering them ineffective. The disciples nodded, the river's steady current reinforcing the teachings of the Buddha's words. The wind carried their whispered realizations. Mindfulness is the art of witnessing emotions without attachment, letting them flow without resistance or indulgence, the Buddha advised. Sariputta folded his hands in reverence, his understanding deepening with each word spoken by the enlightened one. And in the grove, under the Buddha's timeless gaze, the disciples learned to see the web not as a flawed creation, but as a reflection of life's delicate balance. Another day, another moment of profound learning began as the Buddha gathered his disciples by the tranquil lake's edge. Return to the breath, a constant rhythm that anchors you to the present, he said. The breath teaches balance, neither too rapid nor too shallow, always sustaining life through harmony. The disciples practiced as instructed, their breaths steady. The Buddha continued, his voice steady and firm, yet compassionate. Like the river, emotions rise and fall, but they are not the essence of who we are. Sariputta reflected on the lesson, his understanding sharpening with each passing moment of mindful observation. Let us explore this together. Ananda, for imperfection holds many truths. He pointed to the lake's surface, its mirror-like reflection interrupted by ripples. We must remain aware, adapting our actions and emotions to maintain equilibrium within ourselves. The disciples listened intently, their hearts aligning with the middle path. Let the changing winds of life guide your sail, not dictate your journey, the Buddha concluded. The forest seemed to echo his teachings, the rustling leaves whispering truths beyond words. Master, Sariputta asked, what happens when balance is disrupted by external forces? The Buddha remained silent for a moment. He gazed at the horizon, where the river met the sky in infinite expanses of peace. Life will challenge your balance, but the mind remains your tool for restoration, he said. Do not place blame on the winds but strengthen your grip on the rudder of mindfulness. The disciples nodded slowly. The Buddha stood, motioning for his disciples to follow him along the riverbank. Observe nature. It flows, adapts, and balances effortlessly, the Buddha said. Every moment offers lessons in the art of balance for those who seek. They walked in silence, each step grounding their understanding in experience. Master, is balance the ultimate goal, or does it serve another purpose? Sariputta inquired. The Buddha paused, his expression thoughtful, a wellspring of wisdom forming in his gaze. Balance is the foundation upon which compassion grows, illuminating our path to liberation, he answered. Without balance, compassion falters, and liberation eludes us. The disciples absorbed the depth of his words, their hearts and minds open to his transformative teachings. The Buddha continued walking, his movements flowing seamlessly, as if in harmony with the universe itself. Compassion requires strength and steadiness, qualities rooted in emotional balance and inner peace, the Buddha explained. As we cultivate balance within ourselves, we create space for compassion to extend to all beings, the Buddha said. Sariputta smiled faintly, the clarity of the teaching settling like the gentle ripples upon the river. The Buddha pointed to the flowers, their elegance undeniable despite their flaws. Observe the lotus, he said, how it rises from the mud, imperfect yet whole. Balance is sustained through mindfulness, an ever-present awareness that observes without judgment, he said. Life changes constantly, but your awareness remains the anchor amidst the storm's chaos. The disciples bowed, gratitude filling their hearts. The Buddha motioned towards a tree swaying gently in the breeze, its roots firmly embedded in the earth. This tree stands tall because its roots anchor it while its branches yield to the wind, the Buddha said. Like the tree, balance requires grounded stability and fluid flexibility to thrive. Let the lotus guide your understanding. Ananda's brow furrowed, the weight of realization pressing gently upon him. Embrace the imperfections of balance, for they teach resilience and adaptability. Sariputta knelt before the Buddha. To see, Ananda, is not to grasp but to let go, to accept without judgment. He motioned for the group to rise, their movements in harmony with the breeze carrying their robes. Your journey is your own, yet wisdom accompanies those who walk with intent, the Buddha replied. The sun began to set, its golden rays casting a warm glow upon the river's surface. The Buddha and his disciples sat by the riverbank, the tranquility of the moment enveloping them. Remember this, for balance is both your practice and your refuge in the ever-changing currents of life, the Buddha said. Master, he said finally, his voice steady, I wish to embrace imperfection as the ripples embrace the wind, as the lotus embraces the mud. The Buddha's smile widened, his approval as radiant as the sun breaking through clouds. The night embraced them, the stars illuminating the sky, a testament to the universal truths guiding their path. Another day, another sunrise bathed the hills in golden light as the disciples gathered to hear the Buddha's teachings. A merchant named Jaya approached the Buddha, his face streaked with tears of anguish and despair. Master, Jaya said, his voice trembling, I have lost everything dear to me, my wealth, family, and dignity. The Buddha regarded Jaya with profound compassion, his gaze steady yet gentle. Loss is a part of life, yet its weight can be transformed through understanding, the Buddha said. Let me tell you a story, one that reflects the power of compassion and inner liberation. Once there was a lamp in a dark cave, its oil spent, unable to emit light on its own, the Buddha began. Yet when travelers passed carrying torches, the lamp reflected their light, illuminating their way forward, the Buddha explained. The lamp found purpose even in its emptiness, giving back through its capacity for reflection. Jaya listened intently, his tearful eyes fixed on the Buddha, seeking solace in his timeless wisdom. Compassion works in the same way. A light reflected through the act of selfless giving, the Buddha said. Even in moments of despair, our care for others can ignite joy within ourselves. The disciples sat in silence, absorbing the transformative power embedded within the Buddha's words. Jaya, the Buddha continued, your loss need not define your existence. For liberation lies in rising above suffering through compassion. Jaya lowered his head, his heart touched by the profound lesson being offered. Let me explain further, the Buddha said. Compassion is born from interconnectedness, the understanding that all beings share life's joys and pains. The disciples nodded slowly, their hearts and minds resonating with the universal truth of the teaching. Our individual suffering diminishes when we uplift the suffering of others. Master, how do we practice compassion when our hearts feel barren and broken? Ananda asked. The Buddha turned his gaze to a bird perched on a nearby branch, its song filling the air. Even this bird sings. Though the night was filled with hunger and darkness, the Buddha said softly, compassion begins with the smallest acts. Listening, understanding, offering care without expectation, the Buddha explained. It is not grand gestures but sincerity that cultivates meaningful compassion. The disciples reflected on these words, realizing the importance of small, selfless actions in fostering peace within and without. Compassion does not ask you to ignore your suffering but to transcend it through shared understanding, the Buddha said. When we liberate others from their pain, we dissolve the chains of our own despair. Jaya knelt before the Buddha, his sorrow shifting into a quiet resolve for change. The Buddha gestured towards the forest, motioning for his disciples to follow him through the trees. Observe how nature exists in harmony. Each element supports the others without seeking superiority, the Buddha said. The sun gives warmth to the earth. Trees provide shelter. Rivers nourish life. All interconnected. Compassion mirrors this interconnectedness, uniting beings through shared purpose and mutual upliftment, the Buddha added. It is a practice that sustains emotional balance and paves the way toward liberation. Ananda spoke again, his voice tinged with curiosity. Master, how does compassion lead to ultimate liberation? The Buddha stopped walking, his expression filled with thoughtful reflection. Liberation frees the mind from attachment, and compassion opens the heart to selflessness, the Buddha answered. Together, they dissolve suffering, guiding us towards inner peace and universal love. The Buddha's teachings were not commands but gifts, offering us freedom through the embrace of interconnectedness. With the stars glittering above and the stream whispering its truths below, we sat in quiet reflection. Jaya. Compassion begins with understanding the impermanence of possessions and embracing what remains. Within your heart, the Buddha said, love, kindness, and empathy outlive the loss of material wealth. Jaya spoke hesitantly, his voice filled with newfound hope and determination. Master, I will strive to extend compassion. But where should my efforts begin? The Buddha smiled faintly, a gesture filled with encouragement and reassurance. Start with what you know, offering your care to those closest to you. Compassion is a ripple in water, beginning small but growing outward to touch all beings, the Buddha said. Do not underestimate the power of simple kindness, for its impact often exceeds measure. The disciples remained silent, reflecting deeply on the universal significance of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha continued walking, leading his disciples to the riverbank where its current flowed steadily. Like this river, compassion flows endlessly, adapting to obstacles without resistance, the Buddha said. It carries the essence of selfless giving, offering nourishment to all it encounters. Sariputta asked thoughtfully, Master, can compassion ever exhaust us? The Buddha gazed at the flowing river, his expression calm and contemplative. True compassion rejuvenates rather than depletes, for it arises from boundless love rather than obligation, the Buddha said. If your compassion tires you, examine whether it comes from expectation or selflessness. The disciples absorbed the teaching deeply. The Buddha motioned to the village beyond the forest, its distant lights illuminating the evening sky. Each soul carries its struggles. Compassion allows us to lighten their burdens without seeking reward, the Buddha said. In doing so, we discover our own light, reflected through acts of kindness. From that evening onward, you practiced letting go, releasing thoughts into life's currents like leaves to the river's embrace. Each moment brought clarity and freedom. Guided by the teachings of the Buddha, it embodies the spirit of compassion, selfless giving despite circumstances. The disciples knelt by the riverbank, their hearts aligned with the wisdom imparted by the Buddha's presence. Jaya stood quietly, his tears now drying, replaced with a sense of resolve and direction. Master, your teachings have shown me a path beyond despair, Jaya said. Bowing in gratitude, thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video. With each act of kindness, liberation grows closer, illuminating your heart. The disciples bowed deeply. Let every intention shape the journey ahead. The disciples followed in silence, their spirits lifted, their resolve strengthened by the lessons of impermanence and the calculus of existence. Remember, compassion is not a burden but a gift, shared freely without condition. The stars illuminated the sky, a testament to the interconnectedness of the universe, the foundation of the Buddha's wisdom. The disciples found profound peace, their hearts and minds united in understanding the transformative power of compassion. The Buddha gazed at the sky, his presence infinite, his teachings eternal. The journey continued, the lessons imparted by the Buddha shaping the paths of all who followed him. Compassion and liberation intertwined, offering a timeless guide to emotional balance and inner peace. The river flowed steadily, carrying the essence of the Buddha's teachings through the currents of existence. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.